There was a time when a backyard barbecue wasn't just about food, it was a celebration. A sizzling pit, family gathered around, the air thick with the mouth-watering scent of slow-cooked meat. These weren't just meals, they were memories seared into tradition. But not every dish stood the test of time. Some of the greatest barbecue legends vanished from our plates, and trust me, we're missing out. And what better way to kick things off than with a true king of the pit, barbecued mutton. Yes, mutton. Before you turn your nose up, hear this. Back in Kentucky, this wasn't just food. It was an event. When mutton hit the grill, people knew something big was happening. They'd gather around the pit, plates in hand, eyes locked on that smoky, slow-roasting perfection. The scent alone was enough to make stomachs growl. And when it was finally served, tender, juicy, melt-in-your-mouth goodness. This wasn't just any meat, this was barbecue royalty. The magic wasn't just in the slow cooking, it was in the secret rubs and sauces passed down through generations. Tangy vinegar, a touch of sweetness, smoky depth. Every bite was a masterpiece. But here's the sad truth. Barbecued mutton is disappearing. Once a staple of local fairs, family reunions, and grand southern cookouts, it's now a rare find. These days, stumbling upon a plate of authentic pit-smoked mutton is like finding buried treasure. But if you ever get the chance to try it, don't just take a bite, take a moment. This isn't just food. This is history on a plate. The kind of barbecue that tells a story, the kind that deserves a comeback. And trust me, we're just getting started. If you think mutton was unexpected, wait till you hear what people used to grill back in the day. Some of these will shock you, others will make your mouth water. Stick around because the next one, you're not going to believe it. Smoked squirrel, a barbecue classic. Now that we've covered the respectable mutton, let's move on to something a bit more, shall we say, adventurous? Smoked squirrel. In the early days of barbecue, this little critter made quite a splash at gatherings. If you think about it, the squirrel is kind of like nature's version of a barbecue snack. Small, tasty, and with just the right amount of seasoning. Smoked squirrel was typically prepared by slow smoking the meat until it was infused with a rich, smoky flavor. It was a favorite among pioneers and early settlers who needed to make the most of their resources. While it might sound a bit unusual today, it's a great example of how barbecue traditions evolved based on what was available and what people enjoyed. These days, you might not see smoked squirrel on your local barbecue menu, but it's definitely a dish that deserves a place in barbecue history. Barbecued rabbit, the early 20th century star. Squirrels aren't the only bushy-tailed animals on the list because barbecued rabbit was once the talk of the town. In the early 20th century, in rural areas where game meat was more common than store-bought cuts, rabbit was a go-to option. Think of it as a tender, flavorful rabbit, marinated in a tangy sauce and then grilled to perfection. It's like the barbecue equivalent of a Sunday roast, but with a bit more pizzazz. Barbecued rabbit was often seasoned with a blend of herbs and spices that set it apart from other barbecue options. Rabbit barbecue wasn't as exotic as squirrel, but it was still pretty uncommon. It was a staple in many rural barbecues where people would gather around the pit, sharing stories and swapping rabbit recipes. But as times changed, so did tastes. It's a shame, really. I mean, it's low-fat, high-protein, and finger-licking delicious. What's not to love? Hog maw, the true Southern barbecue favorite. Let's take a wild turn because this one is a far cry from the classic barbecue menu. Hog maw. Now, hog maw, or pig stomach, is exactly what it sounds like. The stomach of a pig, stuffed with a mixture of spices, vegetables, and sometimes meat, then slow-cooked or barbecued. This dish has deep roots in Southern barbecue traditions, where no part of the pig goes to waste. Now, I'm not going to lie, it sounds challenging, but for those brave souls who dared to try it, it was apparently a culinary adventure. You know what they say? To each their own. So if you're a fan of this meal, hey, I'm not judging. Barbecued venison, the hunter's feast. All right, let's talk about something a little more dignified. Venison. Now, we're not talking about Bambi here, people. We're talking about grown-up deer meat. In hunting communities, Barbecued venison was once a prized delicacy. Imagine the satisfaction of bagging a deer, bringing it home, and then turning it into a smoky masterpiece. It wasn't just a meal. Barbecued venison offered an experience. Venison's unique taste made it a standout choice for barbecue lovers looking to break away from the usual fare. It was typically marinated in a mixture of spices and herbs to complement its natural flavor. The best part? It's lean and packed with protein. Fitness freaks would have loved it. If it were still on barbecue menus today, we'd be all over it. The legendary whole hog barbecue. If you've ever been to a large gathering or a festive celebration, you might have encountered the grand spectacle of a whole barbecued hog. Or ask your grandparents about it, they must know about this epic meal. This classic Southern barbecue tradition was especially celebrated in North Carolina, where it originated. The cooking method involves slow roasting a whole pig over an open flame or in a pit, often for up to 24 hours. Now we're talking epic proportions. This was the ultimate show of hospitality. Neighbors, friends, and family would gather for hours, feasting on the smoked animal. It wasn't just a dinner party, it was a whole bonding experience. But as life got busier and people moved away from extended family gatherings, the whole hog barbecue started to become less common. Pork jowl, the underrated BBQ gem. Speaking of Southern traditions, this next one was a staple too. Let's turn our attention to pork jowl, an often overlooked cut of meat that's been a favorite in Southern barbecue for years. The pork jowl was basically the cheek of the pig, and while it might not sound glamorous, it was packed with flavor and had a unique texture that barbecue lovers appreciated. It's fattier than bacon, but with a more intense flavor. Smoked or barbecued pork jowl was typically seasoned with a blend of spices and then cooked slowly to develop its rich, smoky flavor. Pork jowl might not be the most mainstream barbecue item these days, but it's a delicious example of how barbecue traditions made the most of every part of the pig. Chitterlings, chitlins, a bold Southern BBQ tradition. The South loved making use of every part of the pig, and this next one was no exception. I'm talking about chitterlings or chitlins. These are the intestines of the pig, and while they might not be the first thing that comes to mind when you think of barbecue, they've been a beloved part of Southern barbecue culture for generations. Barbecued or smoked chitlins were prepared by thoroughly cleaning and cooking the intestines until they became tender and flavorful. The key to making chitlins enjoyable was all about seasoning and preparation, turning what might seem like an unusual ingredient into a delicious barbecue treat. Now, I'm not saying everyone will love them, but they definitely have a loyal following. But like many traditional foods, chitlins are falling out of favor. It's a sad day for those who appreciate the bold flavors of the South. Goat barbecue, a lost treasure. Let's talk about a meat that's still enjoyed in some parts of the country, but definitely not as much as it used to be. Goat barbecue. Goat barbecue was known for its rich, gamey flavor and tender texture, making it a favorite among those who enjoyed variety in their barbecue menu. This dish was typically marinated with a blend of spices and herbs before being slow cooked or grilled. So, seeing this one fall out of favor is a big loss for barbecue fans. Because hear me out, goat meat is lean, flavorful, and packed with protein. It's still a popular choice in many cultures for a reason, but as tastes changed, so did the demand for goat barbecue. It's a shame, really. Pork cracklins, the ultimate crunch. Okay, we're back to pork, but in a whole new way. Let's talk about pork cracklins. These delicious morsels were made by frying the skin and fat of the pig until they were golden brown and crispy. In America, cracklins were often enjoyed as a snack or served as a topping for various dishes. Now, these haven't completely fallen off the radar, so if you still want to try them, I guess it's time to book a flight. In the Philippines, pork cracklins are known as chicharron, and they're a popular snack and ingredient in many traditional dishes. Chicharron is often enjoyed with a tangy vinegar dipping sauce or used to add crunch and flavor to stews and soups. Sweetbreads, A delicacy in Texas BBQ. Now, sweetbreads might sound like a dessert, but they're actually a type of organ meat, specifically the thymus or pancreas of the pig. Traditionally, they were braised or sautéed, but some adventurous souls decided to barbecue them. While they're not for everyone, there's no denying their culinary potential. Sweetbreads have a notable place in Texas barbecue culture. In the Lone Star State, barbecued sweetbreads are considered a delicacy and are often featured at high-end barbecue joints and gourmet barbecue competitions. They're typically paired with robust, tangy barbecue sauces and served alongside classic sides like coleslaw or pickles. They weren't the healthiest barbecue choice out there, but their taste made them irresistible. Smoked buffalo, the forgotten treat. Let's talk about a meat that's making a comeback but was once considered a novelty. Buffalo. Back in the day, smoked buffalo was a rare treat. It was tough, gamey, and had a strong flavor that wasn't for everyone. But as people started to appreciate more adventurous flavors, buffalo began to make a comeback. While it's still not as popular as beef or pork, it's definitely gaining ground. Smoked buffalo was a popular choice for those who wanted to try something a little different and show off their culinary prowess. They're still rare to find, but if you ever come across smoked buffalo on a menu, it's definitely worth giving it a try for a taste of barbecue history. Smoked turkey necks, the underrated BBQ staple. All right, let's talk about a barbecue ingredient that's more often found in a pot than on a plate. Smoked turkey necks. Now, these aren't exactly barbecue stars, but they do deserve a mention. Smoked turkey necks were once a popular ingredient in soups and stews, adding a rich, smoky depth to dishes that made them extra savory. The process of smoking turkey necks involves slow cooking them over a wood fire, which infused the meat with a smoky flavor while keeping it tender and juicy. Although they might not be the star of modern barbecue menus, smoked turkey necks still hold a special place in the hearts of those who appreciate their unique flavor and versatility. Barbecued pork kidney, a forgotten adventure. Here's a dish that might surprise you. Barbecued pork kidney. This unusual barbecue item was once a favorite among adventurous eaters who weren't afraid to explore every part of the pig. Pork kidneys, with their distinct flavor and texture, were often marinated and grilled to create a unique barbecue experience. Barbecuing pork kidney requires careful preparation and seasoning to balance its strong flavor. Pork kidney is a highly underrated cut of meat, but it is definitely an acquired taste. It used to be more common at barbecue gatherings, but now it's become a rarity. Barbecued frog legs, a southern favorite. We're going full-on adventurous eaters now. Barbecued frog legs. Frog legs might seem like an exotic choice for barbecue, but they were once a popular item in some regions. These were the stars of every dinner party in Louisiana. The Louisianians loved seasoning them with Cajun spices, and they were a popular choice at local festivals and seafood boils. In fact, the Fellsmere Frog Leg Festival in Florida celebrates this dish every January. They are also eaten in eastern states, but not as commonly. Frog legs are rich in protein, omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin A, and potassium. They are often said to taste like chicken because of their mild flavor, with a texture most similar to chicken wings. So don't worry, they don't taste like whatever you had in mind. Barbecued cowhead, cabeza, a Mexican tradition. We're crossing borders for this next one. Barbecued cowhead, or cabeza, was once a popular dish in Mexican-American communities. So, what makes cabeza such a special treat? Think of an entire cowhead, seasoned with a blend of spices, slow cooked over an open flame until the meat is fall off the bone tender. Sounds amazing, right? Now I know some of you are squirming at the thought, but hey, food is all about trying new things. The preparation of cabeza is often a communal effort, with family and friends coming together to assist in the cleaning, seasoning, and cooking process. This collaborative spirit adds to the enjoyment of the final meal. The tradition of cooking an entire cowhead dates back to the indigenous peoples of Mexico. They utilized every part of the animal in their cooking, turning what might be considered unconventional cuts into delicious and prized dishes. pig ear sandwiches, a street food staple. Pig ear sandwiches are a unique barbecue treat that once made quite an impression at family gatherings and community events. But they shine best in street foods. For instance, in the Philippines, pig ear sandwiches, known locally as isaw, are a popular snack. In some Latin American countries, particularly in Mexico, pig ears are enjoyed in tacos and tortas. Pig ear sandwiches have been a staple in certain cultures for centuries. In times of scarcity, people learned to utilize every part of an animal to avoid waste. The ears, often overlooked, were discovered to be surprisingly delicious when cooked low and slow. Traditionally, pig ears were boiled or braised until tender, then sliced thin and served on bread with a variety of condiments. Some people preferred them plain, while others enjoyed them with mustard, hot sauce, or barbecue sauce. Barbecued pork blood sausage, a bold BBQ choice. Let's move to barbecued pork blood sausage, also known as morcilla, a dish that's as unique as it is flavorful. Now, this isn't your average sausage. Traditionally, pork blood sausage was made with pig's blood mixed with rice, spices, and other ingredients. The mixture was then stuffed into a casing and cooked. Barbecuing it added a smoky depth to the already complex flavors. This delicacy is particularly popular in Spain, Portugal, and the Philippines. In these countries, blood sausage is a beloved ingredient in many traditional dishes. While it might not be for everyone, blood sausage offers a rewarding experience for adventurous eaters. Its rich history and unique taste make it a fascinating dish to try. Barbecued raccoon, the wild BBQ choice. Now this one might raise some eyebrows. Barbecue raccoon. Yes, you heard that right. While it might seem unconventional, raccoon meat has been a dietary staple in certain regions for centuries. Barbecue raccoon might sound like something out of a wild adventure, but it was once a popular choice in rural barbecues. Raccoon, often considered a pest in urban areas, is actually a lean and flavorful game meat. It's packed with protein and low in fat, making it a healthy option when prepared correctly. In rural areas where raccoon populations are more abundant, hunting and consuming this meat has been a tradition passed down through generations. The preparation of barbecue raccoon involves marinating the meat and then grilling it to achieve a smoky, savory flavor. It's important to clean the meat properly before cooking it, or else you're in for some serious food poisoning. While raccoon might not be a common choice for modern barbecue, it's a reminder of how barbecue traditions have always been influenced by local resources and regional tastes. Barbecued goat ribs, the forgotten favorite. Finally, let's wrap things up with barbecued goat ribs, a dish that's less common today but still holds a special place in the world of barbecue. While pork ribs often steal the spotlight, goat ribs offer a unique and flavorful alternative. And word on the street says they're even better. In many cultures, goat meat is prized for its leanness and robust flavor. The ribs, in particular, offer a tender and juicy eating experience when slow cooked over low heat. Whether grilled, smoked, or barbecued, goat ribs benefit from marinades or rubs that complement their inherent taste. A common misconception about goat meat is its toughness. However, when cooked properly, goat ribs can be incredibly tender and flavorful. The key is to cook them slowly over low heat, allowing the meat to break down and absorb the flavors of the smoke or grill. Interestingly, goat meat, and by extension goat ribs, have a rich history in the American South. Particularly in states like Texas, Louisiana, and the Carolinas, these regions have strong Caribbean and African influences, where goat dishes are traditional. Did any of these classic barbecue recipes stir up tasty memories? If so, like this video, click subscribe, and stay tuned for more nostalgia trips.